Hello everyone. Thank you for clicking on this video and listening to my ramblings. So I recently was looking at some white and blue, it was just kind of what was out there for white and blue divers in the, in the luxury, maybe mid-tier luxury space. Because, I've had this Seiko for a while. And, I won't get into all the reasons, but I was, kind of thinking to myself, is it okay to sell or let go of a sentimental watch? My hypothesis is yes, sometimes. And this is something that you're going to need to decide for yourself. So here's the story, and this is kind of a story of a little bit of 4 watches rather than just one, but we'll tie it all together. So the first one here, the Seiko SPB 213. When I embarked on the relatively short journey to become an EMT in the fall of 2022, I of course used it as an excuse to buy myself a watch. At the time, that watch was the Sarks 055. Some of you probably know that offhand as the baby snowflake. So I found a good deal while I was still in class. I found a good deal on the Sarks, bought it, opened it, and wore it well before I graduated or before I finished class, with the kind of plan of if I fail the class, then I need to sell it. However, as time went on, using and experiencing my reward prematurely caused it to lose its significance. And then for one reason or another, at some point, this watch came onto my radar. And of course, being, white and blue, well, first off, I thought it was the best color scheme of all the 62 Mas Seikos. And then the white and blue certainly tied in with the traditional colors that you find in EMS, ambulances or the uniforms, the whole, whatever. So I found a good deal on one of these before I finished class, and I bought that and went ahead and bought it. But I didn't make the same mistake. I did not touch this until I earned it. It came in the mail, and I don't think I even opened the brown shipping box. I just stuffed it in my closet and waited until I was done. So whether or not it was at the completion of the class or after my NREMT certification came in, I can't remember. But I do remember that in between buying it and opening it, I kind of forgot about this watch. And then when it came time that I was allowed to open it, I was really excited. I said, oh yeah, I can open my watch now. I was really excited. So I opened this, and loved it. I've been wearing it since New Year's. So call it Christmas of 2022, maybe January of 23. I wore this on duty a few times, but mostly just it was in my regular rotation because it's a great looking watch, and it's comfortable, and it's a real strap monster. Between blue leather, brown leather, NATOs of, varying colors. I've got a bunch. And my intention was to never sell it. Excuse me a second, I need to go get some water. All right, we're back. Now, a quick tangent to explain my duty watch, kind of in this theme of watches that have sentimental value. Upon getting hired at my first career fire department in the fall of 2023, I wanted a watch to wear on duty and pass down to my kids. Now, the rule for this watch was that I was not going to wear it off duty. This was exclusively for work. So at the time, I had a bit of money that was left to me from my grandfather. So I could afford to splurge a bit And for the first time since 2016, when I first got into watches, I was now looking at watches for $1,000 to $2,000. I had initially selected the Marathon GSAR Arctic Automatic. It was great. The tritium was awesome. Waking up in the middle of the night, I immediately knew what time it was. But after an unfortunate, or let me, I dropped it. I dropped the Marathon, and it just landed just right on a hard floor, and something broke inside of it, and it started running extremely fast, like it was gaining minutes an hour. And so I sent that off to service. It was still in warranty. And while that was gone, I pondered replacing that with something quartz, for the sake of durability and reliability, because I had just been through, a bit of a freak accident, but it kind of made me question using a mechanical watch on duty. So of course by now I've been into watches for a few years, for about 7 years, and I thought to myself, well, I don't want some plebeian quartz watch. No, if I'm going to get a quartz duty watch, I want the best. So I searched SBGX on eBay and Chrono24, sorted price low to high, and scrolled until I found something that I liked aesthetically and something that I felt would be tough enough for a full-time duty watch. Let me back up. SBGX Grand Seiko is what I was looking for. And then, so that is when we found the, excuse me, that is enter the SBGX 337. I quickly fell in love with the piece, and when my marathon, so I bought this, came in, I think I bought this from Japan on eBay, actually. It was about 8% were the import duties, and what was it? So yeah, this came in while the Marathon was still out, and I started wearing this on duty. When the Marathon did come back, I've had them side by side for the first time, I was really struggling to choose which one to keep. So I asked my, at the time, girlfriend, and now my fiance, who is not much of a watch person, but she has very good design taste. I asked her which one I should keep. No context, no knowledge of the brands, no auto versus quartz. I literally put both the watches in front of her and said, which one should I keep for work? Almost instantly, she picked this. So I put the GSAR up for sale and reluctantly took a trade for this Christopher Ward. I say reluctantly because I really needed the cash more than I needed a watch. As you can imagine, if you're watching this video, you know how much a brand new GSAR is, and you probably can gather that how much one of these is on a bracelet. So yeah, I wanted to sell the GSAR rather than trade it. But this was different enough from anything else in my collection. It's titanium. I was pretty new to Christopher Ward at the time. I'd never owned one. I didn't know much about the brand. But I was like, it's a titanium chronometer with a helium escape valve. That's really cool. So I was like, yeah, let's do the trade. At worst case scenario, I can sell this if I don't like it. But of course I liked it. I bought some red straps for it. It looks great on red. And yeah, wore it, and it just kind of went into the regular rotation. Fast forward to May of 2025, so basically a month ago. I've had the SPB 213 from graduation. I've had this from my late grandfather, because the money that I used that, a little bit of that inheritance, to buy the Marathon and then trade for this. And then I've got the Grand Seiko Duty watch, which I more or less had to purchase outright. Move this to the side a second. So all three of these pieces have a certain amount of sentimental value. And at this time, right now, or a month ago, I am thinking about going to medic school. And of course, as a tangent to going to medic school is like, okay, well, given that my or is there a watch that would be befitting to graduate medic school? Not, of course, now I've got an excuse to look at watches, window shop for watches again. Given my EMT watch was a white dial, blue bezel diver, I limited my search to that. The results were a couple of Breitlings, the Tokyo Special Edition Seamaster Professional, and the Bremont Supermarine S300. And as I always do when I find, good deals on watches that I'm not actually looking to buy, I put them on my eBay and Chrono watch wish lists and just let them sit there. So now, while I'm on a plane on the way to Orlando to meet my fiance at Disney World, I get a notification on my phone from eBay that a Bremont seller has offered me their store display watch, full set, for a price that I could not refuse. They offer, I think it was $500 off of their asking price. My heart begins to race. It's such a good deal on a beautiful watch, but I already have my Seiko, which I don't want to sell, but I can't really, we have two white dial or I guess silvery white blue, or silvery white dials divers with blue bezels. It's like there's, this is owning both of these is pretty redundant. I don't want to sell the Seiko. I need to save money. Then I thought, if I sell the Seiko and the Christopher Ward, it would basically be an even swap for the Bremont. There it is. So I hop on the group chat to my local watch enthusiasts for their input. Some folks chime in that sounds like a really great trade. I did not mention to them the sentimental value of, the other watches. The Bremont owners were very happy, and considering the extremely steep discount from the original MSRP, which, if you ask me, is a little pretty inflated for these watches. Nonetheless, objectively speaking, trading these two for this is a stellar deal. I was reinforced by my peers. So while we were taxiing to the gate, I went on and accepted the offer. Given the seller's return policy, and then the 6-month 0% finance through PayPal credit, I was like, I've got time to finalize my decision on this watch. I'm gonna, we'll go ahead and take advantage of this deal that has presented itself to me. Which finally leads me back to my hypothesis. Actually, let's back up. So I've now worn this for a little bit, and I love this. It's gorgeous. The Seiko is fantastic. And I'm gonna miss it. But next to the Bremont, this is just on another level. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just so nice and it feels very special. This case design is really unique. I love the numerals give it kind of a vintage vibe. I love the story of the brand is really cool. I don't want this to be a Bremont review, but it's it's really nice. And if you can find one for around say $2,000, I'd say get it. So I think I'm going to keep this. Well, I shouldn't say I think I'm going to keep this. Because I ripped off the authenticity certification stuff that says if you remove this, you can't return the watch, or you cannot return the watch. So yeah, I guess I'm keeping it. Which finally leads us back to the original hypothesis. Is it okay to sell sentimental watches? And I'm going to say sometimes. In this case, the Bremont is an obvious and direct upgrade from the Seiko. Blue bezel, white dial, dive watch style. Yeah, it's, that's about it. Where'd I go in my scripts? Oh yeah, I have a few years on the job and I've learned a lot. While I will likely miss my Seiko, the lineage and purpose lives on through the Bremont. Regarding the Christopher Ward, I never intended to keep it forever. It was a good trade on a unique watch that I've thoroughly enjoyed wearing, and it was made possible by my inheritance. By combining these two watches into the Bremont, so we'll try and pick all these up at the same time. By combining these two watches into the Bremont, I feel I retain the sentimental value and lineage from work and from my grandfather, from the lessons that I've learned, while owning a piece that is a serious upgrade from Seiko and Christopher Ward. The Bremont would not be on my wrist without the money from my grandfather or the career achievements and advancements I've made since December of 2022. Therefore, I feel it is okay letting go of the Christopher Ward and the Seiko. Now, all that we've talked about so far is what I will label individual sentimentality. Sentimental value that is not influenced by other people. Say I buy a green Traska Summiteer for the birth of my first child. Down the road, I'm not going to upgrade that Traska into a Ball Engineer 3 or an Oyster Perpetual. The Traska would be attached to much more than myself and my life. And the same goes with a wedding watch. A significant part of those watches' lineage is the events during which they are worn and the other special people to whom they are attached. For events like a birth of a child or a wedding, we buy a watch so that we have a physical connection that transcends the unstoppable passage of time to a special event in our lives. The watch simultaneously takes us back in time and shows us how much time we have spent with the people we love who were there with us. That connection cannot be transplanted into a different watch.